So because Townsend beat Ostapenko, she looks at her and says, you have no class, you have no education, and I'll see you outside of the...
So because you cannot handle being a loser, you cannot handle a black woman winning you, you can't handle it. You have to start pointing and insulting her that she's uneducated. You will see her outside of the US and all of that. You cannot handle losing. You cannot handle a black woman winning. The thing is that it's not that if it was a white woman that won her, it might not be like this. But some people like see it as, why should you win me? Who are you to win me? Like, who do you think you are? That is actually what's going on. Let me show you all this clip, then come back and talk about it.
I can't speak on what her intentions were. I can only speak on how I handled the situation. And how I handled it is someone who's upset about the outcome that occurred. You lost, and you're upset about that. Saying I have no education and no class, I don't really take that personally because I know that it's so far from the truth and so far from anything. And again, if I allow what other people have to say about me affect me in that way, then they win. So ultimately, no, I stood up for myself and I kept in my mind in that moment how I wanted to portray myself and how I wanted to show up. And if my son were to see this interaction, how would he view it? And I think he would be proud of the way that I handled the situation. I'm very strong. I'm very proud as a Black woman being out here representing myself and representing us in our culture. And I make sure that I do everything that I can to be the best representation possible every time that I step on the court and even off the court. So I can't speak on how she felt about it. That's something that you're going to have to ask her. I didn't take it in that way. But also, that has been a stigma in our community of, being non-educated and all the things when it's the furthest thing from the truth. And the thing that I'm the most proud of is that I let my racket talk. Because ultimately, I'm the one here sitting in front of you guys, moving on to the next round, getting the next check, moving on, being able to still be here and speak to you guys. And that's what's the most important. She's packed up and she's gone. I'm here. And that's the only thing that matters. So whether it had racial undertones or not, that's something that she could speak on. But the only thing that I'm worried about right now is continuing to move forward through this tournament. I know that I'm a fantastic tennis player, and I know that I have a lot of things that I want to accomplish. And this is another stepping stone. It's another brick that I'm laying on my foundation, or on my road to greatness. And so ultimately, whatever it is that it is, I don't take any offense to it, but I'm really proud of the way that I handle myself. And, more than anything, if my son sees that, I know that he'll be proud of me as well. And that's what matters the most.
Shout out to the subscriber that sent me this video. Thank you so much. She sent it to me via email. Thank you so much. Did you guys see the way she reacted? See, the thing is, you are calling somebody classless. You are the one shouting, pointing fingers, and all of that. And the person that you are saying that is classless is just being calm and just talking. See, who is classless? Who is classless? Like, you're saying somebody's classless, somebody's uneducated. You that you're educated, you're raising your voice and pointing and shouting. Shout out to her for not even, because this can get a lot of people pissed. If she was another person, she dirty slap on her face already, because, and that would just explain everything. I love I love the way she handled the whole thing. I just love the way she handled the whole thing. I have a reaction on this video. Let's watch the stitches together, then I'll come back and share my thoughts.
You know what's more embarrassing than being a loser is being a loser that doesn't know how to lose gracefully. You can't even win at losing. That's embarrassing. Do you want to know what Ostapenko said to Townsend to make her respond like that, for her to say, you should probably work on being a better loser?
Saying I have no education and no class. I don't really take that personally because I know that it's so far from the truth and so far from anything. And again, if I allow what other people have to say about me affect me in that way, then they win. So ultimately, no, I stood up for myself and I kept in my mind in that moment how I wanted to portray myself and how I wanted to show up. And if my son were to see this interaction, how would he view it? And I think he would be proud of the way that I handled the situation.
So because Townsend beat Ostapenko, she looks at her and says, you have no class, you have no education, and I'll see you outside of the US. Is the sport different in a different country? Also, Townsend has played Ostapenko outside of the United States, and she beat her there as well. Perhaps she means outside of North America. I don't know, girl, move the goalposts. And all Townsend did was win. That's it. All she did was beat her playing an honest game of tennis. This is just pathetic.
Jelena Ostapenko has always been fiery, but this is beyond fiery. Telling Taylor Townsend she has no class, no education, and to see what happens outside the US wasn't just rude. It stinks of something deeper.
Some people say bad things. She told me I have no class, I have no education, and to see what happens when we get outside the US. So
let's not dance around it. This reeks of racism and elitism. When a white European player tries to reduce a black woman to uneducated and classless, that's beyond trash talk. That's coded language. It's the same tired script black athletes have had to hear for decades. That no matter how talented, how skilled, or how accomplished you are, you're still painted as lesser. And coming from Ostapenko, a player known more for her tantrums than her consistency on the court, it's laughable. She's the one pointing fingers about class while acting like the loudest, most unprofessional player on the circuit. The projection is astounding. Taylor Townsend, on the other hand, didn't scream. She stood firm because she's been through worse than bitter comments from fading champions. Taylor Townsend has survived a system stacked against her, pushed through body shaming, fought for her spot, and thrived. That's real class. That's real education. In resilience, in perseverance, in excellence. The truth, Ostapenko embarrassed herself. She thought she was cutting down Taylor, but all she did was expose her own ignorance.
The disrespect that Taylor Townsend experiences is a tale as old as time. There are white people that are shocked that Jelena Ostapenko behaved like that. And there are black women who were like, that's a Tuesday. White women are like that all the time. They're not just like that when you catch them on camera. They're like that all the time. They cannot handle not being better, even when they actually are not better. You saw how she was like, it's because you're uneducated. What in the does her education level have to do with the fact that she whooped your ass on that field? What does that have to do with anything? On the court, you got schooled. That was all the education she needed. You got to see what her education was like. And the crazy part is, Taylor Townsend was so just well kept together. I don't have that skill. You're not about to yell at me in any capacity, but you about to yell at me after I beat your ass. I am liable to full on laugh. I will laugh till you cry. But to hold it together like that, Taylor, you got skill. You got more skills than Jelena will ever have, okay? She could never hold a candle at all to what you got going. But white women, yeah, that's what y'all look like. That is what y'all look like. Mm-hmm.
When Ostapenko said to Taylor Townsend, wait and see what happens outside the U.S., what exactly was she in, the inference there? Because I'm almost certain that if Taylor had said something like that to her, then it would have definitely been perceived as a direct threat. She would have probably been fined. She may have been restricted from playing, booted out of the USO. I mean, there would have been consequences. They may have even have tried to strip her of her title had they taken it that far. But why is it okay for players like Ostapenko to be able to say things like that to, players like Townsend? And when I say players like Townsend, I mean the young black ladies. I mean black women in general, and they are never met with the same consequences. And I'm not talking about, public scrutiny, because I expect it from the public how it goes. No surprise. And it's really no surprise even with the people that govern these type of rules and regulations, but I would still expect better of them in 2025. And I hope that they really institute better things to address issues like that and stop just brushing it off when it's white women, being directly aggressive, because that was direct aggression, and walking up and leaning over and pointing your fingers and talking aggressively at someone, and then saying the things that she said could definitely be, conceived as threats. So why wasn't it addressed as such?
And another thing, because I'm mad all over again. That finger that Ostapenko was pointing, I'm going to give Taylor the award for patience, because when you start waving that little finger around in my face, I'm going to snatch it. And then we tussling on the court. then it's rolling around on the hard court, because security needs to get involved, because why is your finger over here? Why you pointing over here? Why you pointing over here? Who you think you are? Let me calm down. Because each social media account that I go to, I see the clip again and again. And I get mad all over again. As mad as I am about this goddamn pimple that won't go away. But patience on 10 for Taylor. I applaud her for that. Child, if they play each other in the doubles, it's going to be towards the end. Let me pray everybody's strength.
So let's break this all the way down. So Taylor Townsend just beat Jelena Ostapenko in straight sets at the US Open yesterday. And instead of shaking hands like a professional, Ostapenko walks up and says, "You have no class, no education. Let's see what happens when we play outside the United States." So while she's saying this, she's literally pointing at Taylor's face and jabbing her finger down toward her, like she's trying to shrink her, put her in her place. That's not just disrespect, it's intimidation. It's visual domination. And when it's done to a black woman on a world stage, it's not just personal, it's political. Telling a black woman she has no education is not random. That's a dog whistle. It's the same rhetoric that's been weaponized for centuries to strip black women of our intellect, our value, our place. And it's always used when we win, when we disrupt the narrative, when we dare to take up space. And no class, another tired line meant to shame us when we don't smile and shrink. Townsend didn't gloat. She didn't disrespect anyone. She won. And suddenly that's a problem. So then when she says, "Let's see what happens when we play outside the United States," what are you really saying? That she only wins because of some imagined home court advantage? Or is it a warning that outside the United States, a black woman like Townsend will get put back in her place? That's not a tennis critique. That's racialized language. That's veiled aggression. And in that moment, pointing in her face, speaking down to her, dripping with entitlement, it wasn't just about losing a match. It was about punishing a black woman for daring to be excellent in a space that wasn't built for her. And through all of that, Townsend stood tall and said, "I'll let my racket talk." That is grace. That's composure. That is what real class looks like. Now, I want to see that same professionalism from the United States Tennis Association and the US Open leadership. Ostapenko should be fined. There needs to be disciplinary action, because when black athletes are met with hostility, verbal or physical, and nothing is done,
The message is clear. You're going to protect the game, but not the people in it. If the roles were reversed, if this behavior had been directed at a white player, it wouldn't even be up for debate. It would be action, immediate and loud. Racism in sports doesn't always show up in slurs. Sometimes it's in the tone, the words, the body language, the finger in the face, the need to diminish and dominate. And if the tennis world stays silent now, you're telling Black athletes exactly where you stand.
That's nice that, she did that, that she apologized. At the end of the day, I think that it's a learning lesson for her. Again, like I said, when everything first happened, you cannot push your expectations on other people. And that's ultimately what happened. She expected for me to react a certain type of way, and I didn't, and it infuriated her, and which led her to say things that are hurtful, that are belligerent, that are offensive, not only to me, but, to the sport and, to a whole culture of people that I try to do my best to represent the best that I can. So for me, it's nice that she apologized. This isn't the first, second, third, fourth time that, there have been incidences where she gets upset about a net cord. So it's like not a surprising thing that she acted this way. But also we just have to keep in mind that it's competition. We're playing a sport, and, you can't get upset if someone doesn't do something that you want them to do. Like, who are you? I can't get mad that you don't do something that maybe I expect for you to do. And ultimately, when we get our emotions wrapped up in things is where we get our feelings hurt. And I think that that's ultimately what happened. So it's great that she went to social media and apologized. But I really hope that from this, she can take that like, hey, you can't control people. And it's better just to focus on yourself.
If you cannot handle a certain race winning you already know what you are. Like, you already know what you are. And the next thing for you to start is saying that she's uneducated, she's classless, she'll see her outside of the US. What does that even mean? And next thing, you're apologizing. I personally feel like the fact that she's a Black woman and won her, that's where she has problem with. She has a problem with it, that who do you think you are to win me? And this is just so dangerous. And they cannot handle losing, even though they cannot win. Like, even if you see her outside of the year, she will still win you. She's still going to win you. I don't understand how that is a problem, and you have to go and start insulting her, pointing fingers and all of that. She's provoking her. And shout out to Taylor for handling it gracefully, because if it was somebody else, it would have been more than that. Like, it would have been more than that. And at the end of the day, she's going to be the one to be blamed. And people will be like, okay, why did you have to raise your hand? You shouldn't have beat her. You beat her. They will still want to blame her, because why did she react that way? Because people always blame people for reacting the way other people provoke them, if that makes sense. You guys, have you seen this video? Let me know your thoughts down in the comment section. Respectfully, as always, it's your girl Mary Davis, and thank you so much for tuning in. I hope you enjoyed this one. Please like and share and subscribe, and I'll see you in my next one. Bye.